Welcome back to the Manc Entrepreneur YouTube channel, and today we have another interview, and this time with a friend of mine, Rob, who is currently based out in Thailand. Rob, thank you so much for being here. Very quickly, over to you. Who are you and what do you do?
Oh my God! Okay, Dave, it's lovely to speak to you. I haven't spoken to you in real life for we were saying how long? Loads of years, but I've known you for 6 or 7 or 8 years. We don't know. Our memories don't go back that long. But now that I'm talking about 8 years ago, I'll tell you what I was. 8 or 10 years ago, more than 10 years ago now, I was working in London as a freelancer, and I was doing helping out with print design studios. So I would do Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, what's called artworking, and doing the technical side of design, preparing stuff to go to print. And then the change, wonderful things have happened to me, Dave, in my life. I'm an extremely lucky guy. But one of them was that somebody told me to get a WordPress blog in 2005. 2006, I started blogging. Yep. It took me a year to work out that's what you're meant to do with blogs. And because that was such a long time ago, Dave, I managed to get people to contact me and ask to help them in the areas that I was blogging about. And I was blogging about the area I was talking about, which is design. So I started doing design work from home. Then I taught myself web design. Then 2 years later, I was getting lots and lots of clients, Dave, just from my website, just through blogging. And it was going so well that I stopped work in about 2008. And that continued, but because I was so into the content, I then started doing video, and I then started selling video courses, which eventually became more profitable than doing the actual web design for clients, and that was a good thing, because I was getting bored of working for clients. There's other ways I could put that. I still do these days client work, and I still create video courses. But I've also branched out into other areas. We're talking about e-commerce. I do a bit of Amazon FBA and other things as well. But the main part of my business is selling courses and video and sort of info products, so video courses, ebooks, and other things like that, with an accent on my site, robcubbon.com, which is where I have my list, and that has helped me branch out into other platforms like Udemy and Kindle and what have you. And I forgot to say that 3 years ago I moved to Thailand.
Well, that's a pretty good summary there, Rob, of the past 10 years. Well done. And I actually remember, like, when I first sort of found you, I guess, online, because I think it was probably about the time I was dabbling with WordPress and that sort of stuff as well, starting a blog. And I was just so impressed with your site, robcubbon.com. And for anyone who's interested, the link will be in the description. How active your audience were. Like, you'd put a blog post up and then there'd be like 80 comments underneath it, and then just like this conversation. It was amazing. I loved it. And it was because you know, people had asked questions, you'd reply personally, oh, try this, that and the other. It was just a really good community that you'd managed to build. And I know it helped me a lot when I was first getting started, for sure.
Yeah, well, I was lucky, as I say. The SEO side was working really well, and lucky because the comments they were much more popular in the pre-social media, because I started before Facebook, and I'm lucky that I still to this day I still get comments, and you don't see that in a lot of other people's blogs. I'm really lucky.
It is so hard to get people to have that interaction.
Yeah. Because they're all doing it on Facebook. Let's face it, they're interacting on Facebook. So it is a huge thing, and it's not a huge audience, but it's true what they say. You know, you only need 1,000 or 10,000 true fans or whatever. So it's a story that sort of thing.
Absolutely. So, Rob, with that being said, when did you sort of first realise that you were entrepreneurial, or maybe that the 9 to 5 wasn't quite for you?
Well, that's two different questions, two different answers. I realised the 9 to 5. I realised the 9 to 5 wasn't for me very long before I realised I was entrepreneurial. You see, because I do actually go back quite a long way. You see, the thing was, before the internet existed, there wasn't the opportunity if you to be entrepreneurial. I mean, I'm not sure how entrepreneurial I am, but I doubt if I would have become an entrepreneur if it wasn't for the internet. You know, I mean, there's just the logistics. You needed money to start businesses back in the day. I mean, you need
an idea that the bank liked and could give you a loan, that sort of thing.
Yes, good luck with that nowadays. I mean,
exactly, yeah.
There's a huge, great barrier to entry. You know, you needed premises and you know all these things, and so I just concluded that I wasn't going to be good at anything. You know, I wasn't going to be good at. I certainly wasn't good at the 9 to 5. That's why I became freelance because I hated being an employee so much. So I just thought I was going to do that for the rest of my life, and it was only in Web 2.0 as well, because the 90s, the internet was a great opportunity, but I think I wasn't really ready for it, and also blogs weren't set up, and it was sort of harder to sell things online. But I think once the 2000s kicked in and Google really kicked on, and the internet, people had more mainstream adoption of it, then you could start to see the opportunities. And I never would have guessed that I'd become an entrepreneur, a business person, I'd run a business. I'd never have guessed it, Dave. It was just the moment was right for me, you know.
There you go. Can't argue with that. I think maybe being a little bit too modest there, because everybody has had the same sort of moment, the same opportunities with the internet, but you took it and you ran with it, and that's what holds a lot of people back, is that fear of the unknown.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I don't know. I'd never taken something and run with it with that degree of obsession before. It just took me. It's that, you know, as soon as I don't know, something clicked in my head, definitely, and I just went for it, because I was very obsessive. I was trying to make my site as good as I could make it, and the content as good as it possibly could be. And I tried to be good as I could be for the clients as well. And I loved it, and I continue to love it even to this day. And it gets better as well, because I'm doing all sorts of different things. Yeah. But I'd never have guessed that as well. You see, I'd never have guessed that I'd have become an entrepreneur in the first place. That was amazing enough that I was able to do graphic design work from home, and I could just do my own thing from home. That was cool enough. And then I got into the selling courses, which is more passive income, and having different income streams, and that was 10 times better. So it is quite amazing when you look back.
It's a fantastic journey that you've been on. So, with that said, obviously you were based in London doing the sort of freelance work. What then made the switch for you to now be working out of paradise in Chiang Mai, Thailand?
All right. Well, it was. I would have done it earlier, actually. So, I mean, it was faintly ridiculous that I was there in London, one of the world's most expensive cities to live in, and I didn't actually have to be there. But there was a good reason for that, Dave. You know, I was married at the time, and I was very sort of late. I got married very late, and we didn't have any children, and we were married for 5 years, and then the marriage, I don't know what you'd say, dissipated, and we split up, and then I had stayed another 2.5 years. Don't ever get divorced, Dave. It's very expensive.
I'll bear that in mind.
Yeah. I was dealing with it. If you ever do, though, you should come to Thailand, because it's a great place to get over a divorce. But yeah, so I was married, and that's why I stayed in London, because my wife wanted to be in London. Her work was in London, and then all of this time, of course, I was reading blogs just like your audience.
Yep.
And I was reading blogs about location independent entrepreneurs, and I was just thinking, well, I mean, I could do that, and then during those long, cold, dark months of the divorce going through and solicitors screwing me for every penny I had, I always had in my head, I knew I was going to go to Thailand when it was all over, and sure enough, I did. Almost to the day, I just, when it was all sorted out, I was like booking the tickets, I'm off. Yeah.
Amazing. So, with that said, for anyone watching this where we might not understand fully how this works, who is like, you are an entrepreneur who works online, and so how do you sustain your lifestyle wherever you, like, you could work anywhere in the world? Explain to me more about the passive income and how that, how basically your lifestyle works around that, and how do you go about creating that, the ability to do that?
Well, I mean, anyone can do it. That's the funny thing. I mean, it worked. So, I mean, it's difficult to explain. Well, I mean, there are so many different things you could do from Thailand. I mean, I could still, at a pinch, and I know people who do this. So, remember, I was working for clients, and you'd think, oh, you need to be on the phone 20, in London time. Most of my clients were from London, because I was very good at the SEO, the local SEO, is so that was easy. So you'd think, oh God, you've got to be up you need to wake up at midnight, and go to bed at some ridiculous time in the middle of the day or something like that. But it's not true, because I mean, I never was like that with my clients. I was always on email, and I'd reply to the email within a few hours, and that's continued. So there's a lot of people out here I know who are doing that sort of work, and then of course you can work for people who are in America, and they will understand that you're not on their time zone. And in fact, I mean, I think people do understand time zones these days. I think they don't expect any immediate replies to emails. They'll give you sort of a 24-hour period, and then they'll think,
we definitely live in a more globally aware culture, for sure. Yeah,
exactly. So really, the only thing I had to do was go from having an office with a huge, great iMac that was about 6 feet across, and learn how to work on a tiny MacBook Pro, which is 1 foot across, and then that's just technical stuff, putting the stuff all on the cloud, using cloud technology, but the technology is all there at the moment. So I was lucky that I did have the passive income coming in, which means I just make a video course and sell it, and of course that can sell when I'm in bed, or it doesn't matter. I can be anywhere in the world, and I'll make money from my courses. But it doesn't have to be like that. You can do virtually anything you want to do from Thailand. All the benefits of a lifestyle, a good style, and there are other people here doing the similar sort of thing, and then it's great for networking as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've got. I mean, you've again not mentioned too much about the books that you write. You're a best-selling Amazon author as well. So, and again, I will put all the links to Rob's information, his website, courses, books in the description below. And if they are, I've learned lots from Rob, and I'm sure you can too. But yeah, so I guess I read. I've got a few friends again who write books. John Hayes, who's a marketing guy here in the UK. And it's that sort of, you write it once and you have the ability to sell it over a long period of time, and that I guess that's the recurring nature, isn't it? That you
absolutely. I mean, if you look back now, that I started writing books and creating courses over 4 years ago, and the ones I made back in London are still selling today. I mean, there's loads of examples of that. They will they will, of course, depending on their content, whether it's evergreen or not, they will decline in sales.
Yeah.
I mean, my books, I mean, I've got to be honest, I didn't mention them because they don't make a whole lot of money. You get $2 every time you sell a book. You've got to sell a hell of a lot of books to keep you in iced lattes, you know. But they do well on so many other levels. That they give you authority. Mm-hmm. People can follow links in your books and buy higher priced products like courses from you. So they're absolutely totally worth doing, and they're good fun. I mean, they're good on so many levels. The money side for me, it hasn't been great. You know, I mean, I really will sort of some months I'll make. I think the most I ever made out of books was $1,000 a month. I don't know how I did that.
Wow.
But these days it goes between sort of $300 and $500 a month. So, I mean, I don't know how you make money out of books full time, but I think it's a great thing to do. I love self-publishing. Yeah. And if anyone's thinking about it, they should get in touch with me and I'll tell them how to do it.
Fantastic, because I think, like you said, I think the largest part. I think if you go out to write a book with the principal idea of making money, you're going to be disappointed. Mm-hmm. But as far, like you say, as becoming the expert, as solidifying yourself as an authority, having your name on front of a book, a written publication, it's just, it's physical. Someone can actually buy it, pick it up, see it. Or get it on a Kindle and again see the screen, and it's physical. And I think, like I said, it goes a long way in solidifying your authority in whatever it is, whatever arena you're dabbling in.
Yeah. And what you said about paperback books is so true, because I used to go to conferences and I used to always I got a few of them down here with me. Mm-hmm. I even get them delivered to Thailand. At immense expense, and you just give people books at a conference, and it's like, what a great business card, and that doesn't cost you anything. I mean, don't think you've got to buy the paper and get it printed. No, you just give the file to Amazon and they will print it every time someone buys it. So it's just profit. You've just got to write the thing. So it really is a great thing.
Fantastic. So moving on slightly, Rob, we're like I said, cautious about time. Don't take up too much of your time here. What is the best thing about working online?
Oh God, yeah, you gave me that question. I was going to think about it, and I haven't done because.
It's because there's so many.
It's so many things. How can you ask me that terrible question, Dave?
I think for me, I'll try and help you out. For me, while you think, is for me, it's freedom. I've not been able to travel as much as you have, Rob, but, I got to spend a few months in LA, which was amazing. Next week, I'm going to be in Luxembourg for a week. So, but I know that whilst I'm there, the business is still working. I can still work on the business whilst I'm there. So that freedom of movement is, for me, I think that's the best thing. Because I grew to, when I was in traditional employment. And a fun fact for anyone watching this, Rob is one of the two people who convinced me to go self-employed all those years ago. So massive hat tip to Rob for that one. But I got so sort of stagnant in the same four walls. And a lot of people will see me record here a lot of the time. But, I do get out and I'm not stuck here for 8 hours every day. No one's going to tell me off for wandering off or going to a coffee shop or jumping in the car and going somewhere else. So for me, that freedom of movement has been the best thing for me about working online.
Yes. You know what my answer is, Dave?
Go on.
Freedom.
Freedom. I like it.
Yeah, no, it's the same as you, actually. It's okay, so I'll expand on that. It's just freedom. Because you mentioned a job, you were very stagnant in your job, and I think that's a really good point. I think the way you are when you work, you sort of you get turned into a robot a little bit. I mean, I don't want to put anyone down who's listening to this who's still in employment and being a bit casting them as robots. They're not really like that, but you do. If as you're told what to do, it does actually stop stop you thinking.
No, absolutely.
I mean,
I always used to say it was like I'd get to my desk, open my drawer, take my brain out, put it in the drawer, and then when I left 8 hours later, I'd put it back in and walk. You know, because it wasn't
yeah,
challenging, if that makes sense. It didn't
mm,
fulfill me in that
yeah.
way. So I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, they tend to be like that. The way that the corporate structure is sort of set up. You've got your own little thing that you do, your little cog in the machine. And then when you're an entrepreneur, you are the machine, and
Yeah.
you've got to work out how all the other cogs work. And
Mm.
that was the most amazing thing because I started designing for clients, and I'd never done any design before. Because I lied on my website. I said I was a designer, and I wasn't. But I had to design. I had to liaise with the client. I hadn't done that before. I had to do all these things, and it was challenging. And it was great because I hadn't done them before, so it was immediately more interesting than anything I'd done before. So it's just so much better for your brain, because it gets you doing all sorts of things. It's challenging. Okay, at times you'll tear your hair out. Obviously that's happened to me on numerous. But yeah, it's just great. It really is just great.
Yeah.
There's so many good things about it.
That just struck a chord with me because I remember, like, a few months after going self-employed with your push, and a client messaged me and went, "Great, can you send me an invoice?" And I was like, "How do I write an invoice? I have no idea." It's so simple when you think about it. At the time, I'd never had to do that before, so it was like, go on, invoice template. What do I need? What needs to be on it? No idea. Totally naive to the whole thing. But like you said, it forces you to learn. I'd never had to write an invoice before, so it's a great. It puts you out of your comfort zone in a number of ways.
Yeah.
So to flip that question, Rob, what is the worst thing about working online?
Okay, what's the worst thing? I think. Well, we probably touched on it there. It's the best thing is the worst thing. It's having those moments where you think, oh my God, I'm completely out of my depth. That feeling, the feeling of I could use so many words to describe it. Most of them are kind of like 4 letters, and you think you really are in there
Up the creek
in
without
the
a
creek
paddle at times.
without a paddle.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've had moments, Dave, where I think, oh God, there is $2,000 down the drain in a second, like that, because I've made a stupid mistake. And the reason I've made a mistake is because I haven't got the experience in this area. And the reason I haven't got experience in the area is because I'm moving into a new area and I'm trying to be, I'm trying to branch out and trying to
grow and evolve and
and you don't know what you're doing, and these things happen, and there will be moments where that's probably the worst thing about it. But and it's the flip side of the best thing as well. So you can't have one thing without the other.
Absolutely, I think.
Oh, sorry, I've lost
totally
you.
Get where you're coming from with that one. It forces you out of your comfort zone, and when you're out of your comfort zone, it is some of the most uncomfortable things that you'll have to deal with. I think for me as well, I've always said, like, the lack of security when you're in employment. As much as you're stagnating, it's safe. You don't have to worry that much. You're going to get paid at the end of the month. You know how much is coming in. It's safe. Whereas when you're sort of walking your own path, you try things, and like you said, Rob, you might not know the answer to everything, and you don't know if it's going to work. Is it going to cost you money? Is it not going to? You're going to lose money. But I look back and think it's all part of the fun, isn't it? Really, it's keeps things exciting. It's not boring. I'm not bored. I'm not stagnating here. It keeps you on your toes for sure.
Yeah, or it's like, it's something I can write about in my blog.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a story that I can tell. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So to wrap things up, Rob, again, thank you so much for taking time to be here. I ask this question to everybody. What is the one piece of advice you would give to a future budding entrepreneur watching this right now? A bit like I was those 6-7 years ago. What one piece of advice would you give them?
But to answer your question, Dave, I would say if they're not sure what area of business to go into, I would definitely choose some area of it that they love. You know, there's real sort of chemistry there. There's some there. And so what I felt if they don't love every aspect of it, but they've got to love a substantial part of that business in order to go for it. And then after that, I would tell them to be consistent and just keep on with that area, even when it's not looking like it's working, and do it for 6 months, a year and a half, and then have a look, see how things are. You know, I think problem with people if they're starting out is that they flip from one thing to another and take on too many things, just like I am at the moment.
No, I think that's good advice. I mean, again, just to recap, because I know the internet maybe broke up a little bit there. Rob was basically saying to do what you love. If you don't know exactly what it is that you want to do, and I think a fantastic part of that is you don't have to love every part of it. That is something which nobody loves every part of what they do. There's always the bad bits. But if you love the majority of it, you can make it work. And I absolutely agree with the last part that you said, is give it a year, give it 2 years. I think we live in a world right now where instant gratification is so readily available, but it's not sustainable in business. You know, business doesn't happen. You know, business success doesn't happen after 6 months, after 12 months. Yeah. It's a long slog, isn't it, Rob? You know, you really have to sort of put the hours in and be willing to play the long game, I guess. So, with that said, Rob, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today and fighting through the internet issues over there in Thailand. But again, thank you so much for sharing your journey. I really appreciate it. And for anyone watching this, all of Rob's links down below. Check him out. Anything doing with sort of design, and if you want to learn about publishing, online video courses, Rob is the man to speak to. So yeah, I can't say thank you enough, Rob. Not only for today, but I said that advice you gave me 6-7 years ago, because it did change my life for the better. So once again, thank you so much.
It's not okay, but it wobbles occasionally, so apologies to your audience for that.
No worries, I'm sure they will be more than understanding of what we're doing right now. We're having a conversation over about 6,000 miles distance, so it's not that bad.
Yeah, and 8 hours time difference. Yeah. Anyway, it's great talking to you, Dave. Thanks so much for having me on.
Thank you so much, and thank you to you for watching this as well. So if you did enjoy this video, hit that like button, subscribe if you are new, and like I said, any questions for Rob, his links are down below. Please get in touch. And with that said, guys, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll catch you as always in the next video. Thank you for watching.
Listen.